tell them suckers to move. I ain't in the mood. Got me with the crew, let me do what I do. I tell them suckers to poof. Got me in the booth, lobby in the truth. Let me do what I do. Yeah, remember when the U come through, enter the music jungle. Or back with the block, I used to rock, I used to fumble. I still rock down, drop the roll when I want to. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
And this is the OnlyFights Podcast.
Episode 25.
25.
Yes, sir.
Quarter of the way to 100.
Yep. How's your weekend?
It was alright, man. It was slow.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't really have much going on. I spent Saturday watching a football game.
Oh yeah, you watched it?
Yeah, some of it, first half, when it was interesting.
Yeah.
After a while, I was like, all right.
I didn't even watch it. I knew it was on last night, but then I just saw this morning. I saw the score this morning.
Yeah, I was like, throw in the damn towel.
I thought Dallas was gonna play like their second string. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think
they should have.
Yeah.
That's what the Eagles did.
Yeah.
It wasn't really, you know. Nah, it's all good. But no, Friday was interesting. We had ShoBox.
Nice.
ShoBox is like it's been around for like 25 years, something like that. I think they had their 20 or 25th anniversary, I think, last year. Yeah, so it's basically for those that don't know, it's like the proving grounds. You know, it's a lot of up and coming fighters. You won't see the best fighting the best, but you'll see a lot of evenly matched people. You'll see a lot of undefeated fighters.
Yeah.
In fact, there was 3 in terms of televised bouts. There was 3 fights, and all 6 fighters were undefeated. So we'll just get right into it, man. It started with in the super featherweight division, William Foster III, 14-0 with 9 knockouts, taking on Edwin De Los Santos. De Los Santos, he trained for this fight in Reading, as did Luis Nunez, who was on the main event.
Oh sure.
But yeah, pretty aggressive fighter. De Los Santos is kind of reminded me of like a young Sean Porter, lunging in a lot and throwing wild shots. Strong guy, fast, but just very defensively irresponsible. And William Foster, he's a good fighter. He beat an undefeated prospect in Donald Smith in his second to last fight, and then scored a first round knockout coming into this fight. So he was on a roll himself, and De Los Santos has only ever been 6 rounds once, and just that one time, and every other fight, I think he's only been like 2 or 3 rounds for first round knockouts. Like he really doesn't have much experience. So I don't know why he was the favorite in this fight. He had a good opening and maybe second round. But after the third round, man, his body language was just terrible, poor, and he was getting dominated and outboxed. That's not to say that William Foster didn't have any holes himself. He was defensively irresponsible at times. He took a lot of unnecessary shots when he had to, and I think he still needs some work. Overall, just in a lot of how he throws his punches, how he picks his punches.
Yeah.
Even his game plan was a little sus. You know what I'm saying? Up against somebody who clearly had no idea what to do after not being able to hurt him.
Yeah.
So he would get the decision. He would get a split decision, which for the life of me, I really don't understand why. De Los Santos even had a point taken away from him for holding in like the 4th round. Yeah. So I don't know how any judge could have gave it to him, but
So it was 6 rounds?
It was 8 rounds, I think. Yeah, 8 rounds. But regardless, William Foster III gets the victory, rightfully so. It was a good fight though. It was a good test for him, for both fighters. I think De Los Santos can bounce back and improve. See where he goes from there.
Word.
And all that. Moving on to the co-main, Starling Castillo, another, like I said, they're all undefeated, 16-0, coming in with 12 knockouts, taking on Otar Arenoson. Arenoson, man, he's a fun fighter. I've seen him fight before. He's coming in 10-0 with 6 knockouts. I think he had like I think he just started as a professional.
Yeah.
So he had his 10 fights within the last like year and a half or something like that. Something crazy. I think he turned pro in like the end of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I'm sorry, 2020. So yeah, we're looking at like 2 years, less than 2 years and 10
Yeah.
fights. It's pretty crazy. So anyways, uh, I think Castillo again was the favorite in this fight. And he got dropped twice in the first round and was just unable to adapt to the relentless activity that Aaron Olsen provides, which is like I said, he's a fun fighter, man. I like watching him. Um, has good head movement, picks his punches well, and he's strong, man. He throws a lot of hard punches, a lot of haymakers. Well, not haymakers, but just good power punches.
Yeah.
In general, and yeah, man, just super relentless, and uh, Castillo just could not keep this guy off of him, and it was hard to give him even one round.
Damn.
So though he would last, and for the full what was it, 8 rounds? Yeah, he I'm looking at the scorecards right now. I don't think he won a round.
Took a beating.
I think one judge gave him a round.
Damn.
I don't know how. But yeah, so Otar Aaron Olsen remains undefeated, 11-0, 6 knockouts. Good fighter, man. A lightweight, so 135. Just another guy to add to that division, man. That division is not
Stacked.
is not stopping. And excuse me, moving down to the super featherweights in the main event. Luis Nunez, his nickname is like the Twist.
Mm-hmm.
He be coming out to the Twist, that really old like 50s 60s song, like
Yeah.
the Twist, chubby whatever, chubby
Yeah, not
checkers.
sure.
So he comes out to that and he's like doing that old school little dance. It's pretty cool, man. He trains out of Reading as well.
No shit.
Which is pretty cool. He's Dominican.
Mm-hmm.
He's from over there. He takes on Carlos Arrieta, who's coming in as a late replacement. Another undefeated fighter, Puerto Rican. I think this was his first fight in like, in
The States?
the states. I mean, technically Puerto Rico is
Yeah.
United States, but out here, outside of Puerto Rico, I'll say.
Yeah.
I think so. So he was game, man. He was game in the first couple rounds. He was throwing a lot of shots and landing, but he just didn't have any power, man. He had no pop in his punches, and after a few rounds, Nunez would just walk him down and have little to no respect for his power, his punches, and it looked like he was headed towards a pretty unanimous decision. And then he would actually hurt Arrieta in the 10th round, in the last round, and follow up with a barrage of punches, and the referee would come in and stop the fight. So he wins by 10th round TKO,
Nice.
improving to 16-0 with 12 knockouts.
The Puerto Rican kid?
And no, the Dominican.
Oh.
Yeah, but Luis Nunez.
Nice.
And that was my Friday. There was no boxing that I know of on Saturday.
So is ShoBox like a whole other promotion or what?
Well, it's Showtime.
Oh, okay.
But it's it's like
So Showtime's like little thing for up and coming fighters.
yeah, kind of like how like there's like the Contenders series on UFC
Right.
and stuff like that. But I mean, this has been around since the early 2000s. I remember watching this when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
I remember watching I think I watched like Chad Dawson on it, and Wilder was on it, but Sean Porter was on it, probably Malignaggi, guys like that.
Yeah.
Just a lot of those PBC guys, that Andre Berto, yeah, a lot of guys.
Word.
Guillermo, yeah. So more or less, it's kind of like watching the future of boxing.
Yeah.
You know that a lot of these names, Luis Nunez, Otar Aaron Olsen, William Foster, you're probably gonna see these guys in bigger and brighter situations.
Yeah.
Provided that they keep winning.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what it is. In terms of like real highlight boxing, there was none of that.
Yeah.
This week, and there was no MMA this weekend.
Nope.
Which is unfortunate. So yeah, pretty lackluster weekend to say the least. But you know, I think like you alluded to, man, like we're still kind of on like a vacation.
Yeah.
In terms of
the real fights,
the
yeah.
combat sports. Plus, and you know, yeah, like not to keep talking about football, but like, you know, football is at that interesting time frame where, you know, teams are trying to make the playoffs.
Yep.
And once we get to the playoffs, that's going to be a whole thing. So
yeah.
I think that's something that these promoters are looking at and just saying like, well, let me just hold off on a little bit.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl will be over by February, you know, so like I'm sure that's when fights will really start picking back up.
Yeah.
There's
especially once the regular season's done. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
After the playoffs will be over before we know it.
Yeah. It's usually like that. But yes, there's gonna be some fights coming up. Let me look at my little schedule here. I know that this coming Saturday in boxing, we got Joe Smith Jr. taking on a late replacement opponent in Steve Jeffrard.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know much about that guy. But like I said, in February, I think that's when things really start picking up. And it's looking so that's when Jose Ramirez will be taking on Jose Pedraza.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good fight. Speaking of Jose Pedraza, I read that Teofimo Lopez's dad said that that's going to be his next fight.
Oh, shit.
At 140.
Yeah.
Teofimo Lopez versus Jose Pedraza. And I'm all for that.
Does he have a belt at 140?
Who?
The
this guy's undisputed. Josh Taylor.
Oh, somebody's undisputed at 140?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Shit.
So, and Josh Taylor will be taking on Jack Catterall in February 26th. That fight was supposed to happen already, but COVID.
COVID.
Yeah. Hey, 2 weeks from now, I think the biggest fight of the year so far is gonna be this one right here. It's Gary Russell Jr. and Mark McSile.
When's that one?
That's not this Saturday, but the next, the 22nd. That's on Showtime. Yeah, I would absolutely look out for that fight. I'm looking at the undercard. Not really too many familiar names. Evan Holyfield. You know, Holyfield's son.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on that.
Yeah, so that's gonna be the same night as 270 UFC 270.
No, that's okay. I'll two screen it. We can two screen that shit.
So there's no big boxing fight this coming up weekend?
Well, nah, I mean, like Joe Smith Jr. is gonna fight, you know, but I don't see it being a competitive fight because it's a last minute opponent.
Yeah.
The next real competitive fight I see is that Gary Russell Mark McSile fight. For those that don't know, Mark McSile was on that Pacquiao undercard.
Yeah.
That Filipino dude that had the really nice knockout.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Russell Jr., man, great fighter, man. He's just he's a once in a blue moon, man, when he fights. And I'm looking for the Keith Thurman fight. Okay, so it's the same night as the Ramirez and Pedraza fight. Keith Thurman takes on Mario Barrios, and Leo Santa Cruz. The return of Leo Santa Cruz taking on Keenan Carbaya.
Is that gonna be on pay-per-view?
And Abel Ramos versus Josecito Lopez. Luis Neri versus Carlos Castro. Yeah, it's a nice little card. They spelled Junior wrong, in junior featherweight. Yeah, it's a pay-per-view, but that's a good one.
Sounds like a lot of names.
Decent fights. Damn, and another DAZN has a card on February 5th. 2 cards. Wow, it's a busy day, February 5th. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, February is really when things are gonna start picking up. That's what's up.
Word. Yeah, so in the UFC world, on Monday, 272 was announced, the March card. was gonna be Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski for the trilogy fight. You know what I mean? Max going in 0-2 to the trilogy. It's pretty crazy. Damn, I forget. I should have looked it up, but I think they said it was only 2 other UFC fighters that went into a trilogy 0-2.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the reasoning.
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about. Then again, I'll say that because I wasn't crazy about the trilogy with Wilder and Fury, and that turned out to be a heck of a fight. So.
Yeah, so that was Monday. I think it was Monday that card was announced, and then 2 days later, like Wednesday or Thursday, it was announced that Max was forced to withdraw from the fight because he like aggravated a prior injury he had.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that sucks for him. But for the fans, it's kind of, if you didn't want to watch that trilogy, it kind of works out pretty good because that's in March, so it's still plenty of time to find a replacement. And then pretty much have a full camp, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Volkanovski wants to fight that date, so he has plenty of time to prepare for whoever it is. So right after I saw about the thing about Max pulling out, they said the Korean Zombie was the front runner pretty much to get that fight. And then right after like that came out, all the other fighters started tweeting that they wanted to step in. Yair Rodriguez, tweeted that he was more than willing to take the fight. Even fucking Henry Cejudo, Triple C.
That'd be dope.
Was like, Dana, you got my number. He's like, let me make history again.
I'm not crazy about the Korean Zombie taking that fight either.
Yeah, me either. I don't think Korean Zombie beats him. I mean, Korean Zombie's fun to watch, and he can take a beating. That's why his name is Zombie. You know what I mean? Like, and that's probably what would have happened. He probably would have took a beating. Yeah. So, I don't know why. Yeah, I'm not sure why he's the front runner. I guess because he's the only one coming off a win because Yair's coming off a loss technically.
Yeah.
And before that, he hadn't fought in like 2 years. But I think that performance against Max Holloway makes it, it should put him up there. It should put him up there.
Right.
And then Henry Cejudo, that's probably my favorite one. That's probably the one I would want to see the most.
Hell yeah.
Like, and it seems like perfect. Like Henry said, it was announced like late last year that, well, that's only a couple weeks ago that he was gonna come back in 2022, and he said that's the one. He said the fight against either Volkanovski or even Max Holloway. He said that even if Max would have won, like the trilogy fight, he would have been interested in fighting Max. That would have been crazy. Yeah. But yeah, seeing Cejudo come back and fight at 145, that would make him, if he would win, that would be the only fighter to be a champ in 3 divisions. Not obviously not the same time, but be in a career. That's still pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be dope, man. Especially because I was kind of pissed when Cejudo retired, man.
So was I, man.
He retired so young, like right after like 3 like amazing performances. Like, I seemed like he was like just getting started, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely want to see him come back. He's training. He's always training. And like I said before, I mentioned last week, I think he's training with John Jones and with Davison Figueroa. So he's definitely training. I'd love to see that one. I think Henry Cejudo retired because they don't pay the smaller guys as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's why he retired. Really, like he was becoming this big star, but I don't think he was being compensated the way he thought he was. So I think that's why he retired. So I doubt they'll give him what he wants now, but we'll see. So that was for UFC 272, and so that was supposed to be the main event, and then the co-main was gonna be Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan. Aljamain, remember, he was out for a while. He's the one that he took that knee to the head, and everybody said that he was acting and all this shit. And it's kind of crazy because I feel like right when he won that fight, and he got the belt, he was saying pretty much how he didn't feel like he was really the champ, this and that. And then like a week later, he's like posting all this shit like, oh, I'm the champ, and you know what I mean, like pretty much just did exactly what he said he wasn't gonna do. Yeah. Like started acting like he had won the belt. You know what I mean, like in a real way. And now he's saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat Ant Still and all this, and I'm gonna show him. You know what I mean? I don't know. It seems kind of whack, but
yeah.
I think Peter Yan wins that fight pretty easy. He like had already had Aljamain broken in that first fight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. So next week, UFC officially comes back. We got the fight night between Calvin Kattar and Giga Chikadze. even Giga tweeted out something like that's also 145, and he's like a hot up and comer. A lot of people think that if he wins this fight, he might get a title shot. He's like super experienced striker. I think he was in Glory Kickboxing for a long time. So he's not he's a rookie. Not rookie, but I think he only has like 3 or 4 fights in the UFC, but he's undefeated in the UFC. Yeah, so even he said, why don't we wait a week to see what happens, and if I win, give me the title shot.
Yeah.
Which that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool to see as well. This guy's fun to watch. You got all kinds of crazy kicks and strikes and shit. But yeah, man, I can't wait for UFC to finally come back. Michelle Pereira's fighting on this card too. This should be a pretty good fight. Caitlin Cocahagen and Jennifer Mai, both challenged for the belt, I think, last year.
Okay. In
the flyweight division for the girls. Yeah, nothing too exciting. But then we got the big one after that on January 22nd. Francis Ngannou, Cyril Gane. Man, yeah. I can't wait for that, man. I cannot wait. Yeah. And then what's the one? Oh yeah, of course. Then the trilogy, Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo. Man, can't wait. It's gonna be a lot of good fights.
So yeah, that's the same as the okay, yeah. Oh yeah, you mentioned that too.
And then it seems like right after that we're just off and rolling. We got a bunch of cards then. February 5th. There's another fight night, Jack Hermanson and Sean Strickland. That should be a good fight.
That was supposed to be on 268?
Right? I don't know if it was this fight, but Sean Strickland was supposed to fight somebody on that card.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm thinking.
I think it was, no, I think he was supposed to fight Luke Rockhold. That's what happened.
Right.
So yeah, so now he's fighting Jack Hermanson. That should be a good fight. Probably a better matchup. I mean, Luke Rockhold at this point is just like a kind of a gatekeeper guy.
Yeah.
Jack Hermanson, has more potential to keep moving up. And then 271, Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, the second fight between them. I think Izzy wins that fight pretty easy, man. Like, that fight was probably his easiest fight, really. It seemed like Izzy seems to be one of those guys that just studies people so much, like to fucking every movement they do. Because it seemed like he knew exactly what Whittaker was going to do, and he knew exactly what counters to throw.
Yeah.
Like, the way he knocked him out was crazy. He caught him with the same punch, like, right before he knocked him out, and then with the second time he caught him flush. I think it was at the end of the first round. Remember, like, at the end of the first round, he gets saved by the bell. Izzy knocks him down right at the bell, and the bell goes off. He gets saved by the bell pretty much, and he gets it back up. And then in the second, like, early in the second round, he hits him with the same combination pretty much. And then, so I'm guessing the co-main is going to be the fight that was just announced, Derek Lewis versus Tai Tuivasa.
Boom.
Man, that's going to be a fun fight.
Yeah, that's not going to...
Both coming out big knockouts.
That's not going to last long at all.
Nah, hell no. I don't think it goes out the first round. There's no reason for them to try to even go past the first round. Like,
yeah, real talk.
Like, there's no just start swinging.
They're both gonna have all their energy in the first round.
Yep.
And they're both gonna be able to take the most punches in the first round.
Yep.
That's gonna be like one of the most action packed.
Yeah.
First rounds. We'll see.
Who do you got?
Man, I think Tuivasa's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I think about is I don't think I've seen Derek Lewis get knocked out. I don't think I've seen him get knocked out, and I think we saw Tuivasa get knocked out once. Forget by who, but I think he got knocked out once. So I don't know. We'll see. But we know Tuivasa got the power to knock out those bigger guys.
The way he catches people, man, like.
He seems to be the slicker boxer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he's slick, and it's just really weird because of his build, man. He doesn't look like a slick guy at all.
Yeah, and he's so fat. Like, when he moves
That's
around,
what I'm saying, like
when he got pretty good movement. He moves around, you see his stomach fucking flabbing everywhere and shit.
Kind of like a Tyson Fury. Like,
yeah.
Those guys, they don't look like it, bro, but they could move.
Yeah, he's just a little undersized, but like I said, he's shown that he got the power.
Yeah, definitely.
To knock out those bigger guys. And Derek Lewis just got the big right hand.
That's gonna be the fight of the night, the knockout of the night.
Probably, hell yeah.
The highlight of the night.
And yeah, man. Other than that,
show steal.
There was a couple other fights that were like kind of verbally confirmed on Twitter, but I hate to kind of go to that, but that's really how fights are being made nowadays.
Yeah.
By these fighters going back and forth on shit. So like Gilbert Burns, and Khamzat Chimaev, they like verbally agreed to fight. I'm not sure when that will be, but probably soon. The other one was Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson. They pretty much like verbally agreed
Nice.
to fight. That'd be a really good fight.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I'm sure Tony's been training, but you know, he needs a. I would love to see him make a big comeback. You know what I mean? Get a couple big wins. And then the other one was Jorge Masvidal and Kobe Covington. You know what I mean? They've had a lot of back and forth throughout the years. I think they were like former training partners because Kobe used to be at American Top Team as well back in the day. So that should be a good fight. I'd love to see that one too. I do want to see Masvidal get back in there. I feel like he can't let too much time go by at this stage.
That's true. Yeah, especially after that knockout.
Yeah, crazy knockout. Yeah, man. But yeah, that's really it. Can't wait to get back into the real fights next week. It's gonna be exciting.
I seen you were talking about like Twitter beefing and all that shit. Seen Ryan Garcia and Isaac Cruz going at it.
Oh yeah.
Apparently also the promoters. I seen Oscar and the promoter of Mayweather. I mean, not Mayweather,
so Ryan Garcia
Pacquiao
is still on Golden Boy.
Yeah, and Isaac Cruz is under Pacquiao's promotional company.
Yeah.
And they're going at it. I guess they don't want to fight on the zone. Isaac Cruz. They're basically saying, why doesn't Ryan come to a network? We're just basically saying, like, why don't we make this pay-per-view? I don't know about that. I think that's kind of crazy. It's bad enough you try to make Isaac Cruz on a pay-per-view with Tank.
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia, I mean, you know, he has the following, but it's the social media following, you know. So I guess in the days of the Jake Pauls and shit, it doesn't really matter now. But that could be a good fight. I think Ryan Garcia would knock him out.
You think so?
Yeah. I think Tank was on his way to knocking him out until he broke his hand.
You think Ryan Garcia comes back just as, like, you know, not skipping a beat?
Yeah, but I don't think that means as much as, you know, like some people would think. Like, I still think Ryan has a lot of flaws. And I think he what he shows is who he is. You know, he's fast, he's strong, and he can knock people out.
Yeah.
But he still has to work on his defense. The way he got dropped by Luke Campbell.
Yeah.
You know, having his chin all out, his face all out. It's gonna work if you're fighting shorter guys who's hard to reach you.
What seems usually what he does, right? He seems like usually his opponents are shorter.
He's tall for his division. But when he fights the bigger guys and the more experienced guys that know what to do, like a Luke Campbell, I mean, you know, you can get hurt. And you've seen how, like, Devin Haney got hurt by Linares.
Yeah.
You know, got wobbled even though he pretty much took that fight. Yeah, man. So, you know, these young guys, they still got some work to do. So, does he skip a beat? I mean, nah, you know, but like he definitely, I don't see him getting like better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he needs that experience. And,
Well, yeah. So I mean, definitely not getting better.
right.
What's been his longest fight, like round wise, in a fight? Like, has he been like in any? He hasn't been like in any wars or anything like that, right?
No, he hasn't really been in any wars. I don't know. Like, I know I don't think he has a perfect knockout percentage. So like, I'm sure he's
went the distance.
I just don't know how long those fights were. If they were like 4 or 6 rounds or whatever.
Yeah.
I know that fight with Campbell went, was it like 8, 9 rounds, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, wars, nah, he's never been in any wars. Really, that was the first time he's experienced adversity.
Yeah.
Was
getting
that
knockdown
in the second round and getting back up and stopping him. I think it was actually more like the 6th round.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I just feel like he just wasted a couple crucial years. I mean, hopefully he didn't waste it. He got right whatever he had to get right.
Right. Yep.
So hopefully it wasn't a waste, but it just seems like these were some crucial years in his career that, you know, that he should have been developing, and a lot of those guys that he was on the same level with could have, you know, they kept fighting, kept developing, evolving. I don't know. I'm just interested to see how he does when he comes back.
You know, I just saw something. So it's looking like a source on ESPN is saying that Canelo and Jermall Charlo might be next.
Really?
Cinco de Mayo.
Before he goes up.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess. Well, Charlo would be going up. Charlo fights at 160, so Charlo would have to move up.
So Canelo will be defending one of the belts.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's easy work, man. I don't see anybody from 160 going up to 168 and beating Canelo.
Yeah.
Except maybe, you know, Boo Boo. Nah, I mean, I don't know. Like, a lot of people think that Boo Boo could beat him because, like, he's a good slick fighter. He can fight going backwards, and that's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah.
It's fighting a guy like Canelo. But at the same time, like, man, Canelo shows he has a lot of different styles, too. And his last two fights
And he likes challenges.
His last two fights were against slick, undefeated boxers in their prime who were big, who were bigger than him. Three of his last four, I'll say. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Yeah, man. Charlo didn't look that good against Montreal. In fact, I think he got hurt by Montreal. And I know he's gotten into some legal troubles, which I didn't really want to get into, but like, he did. He got into some legal troubles.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that affected him. Yeah, and he hasn't fought last year, did he? He fought Montreal. Yeah, man. I don't know if this is the fight for him, man. I don't know if he wants to jump right in against Canelo.
Yeah.
Fight Triple G, man. You know what I'm saying? I think Triple G's not trying to fight these guys, man. If I'm being, or his team doesn't want him to fight him.
Yeah, probably.
But at the same time, I'm not crazy about. I remember when Triple G was a young, hungry lion, and Miguel Cotto had just beaten, I think, Sergio Martinez for the 154-pound title.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, back when Max Kellerman was doing the thing for the HBO and all that stuff.
When HBO was a thing.
And beautiful times. But so I remember like Max asked him, he's like, "Do you want to go up to 160 and fight Triple G?" And Cotto basically said, he's like, "Nah, man, like I'm 154. Like, I think he struggled to make 154. So he's basically saying like, nah, this is my natural way. I'm not going up to 160. He got criticized for it, but at the same time, it was an older Cotto. It wasn't the most prime. And we were looking at a young, hungry Triple G knocking everybody out. I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to see that fight. You know what I'm saying? For the concern of Miguel Cotto.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that like Canelo would eventually fight Cotto like years later. You know what I mean? And then fight Triple G.
Yep.
And now I'm looking at Triple G like the same way I was looking at Cotto. Like, man, I don't know if I want to see Triple G fight Canelo for a third time. Because now this time Canelo's just stronger and Triple G's not the same. He might get hurt. I don't even want to see Triple G against like some of these other guys with power because it might be that, Father Time is undefeated. And now I'm looking at Triple G for his concerns. So in terms of that division though, you still got guys like Danny Jacobs, Jamal Charlo, excuse me, Demetrius Andre. You have what's the guy? Jaime Munguia.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is like an interim champion or something like that. You have the other guy that Triple G's supposed to fight, Ryan Murata. You got some guys. And yeah, you still have Triple G, but I just think that his next big fight, his next big opponent, is whoever it is gonna be the one to like retire him.
Triple G.
Yeah, whether if it'd be that third fight with Canelo or if Triple G gets into a big fight with, somebody in their prime.
Yeah.
I think that would be good for Charlo though. I think it would be good for Charlo to retire Triple G, and then he could challenge Canelo. That would be a better plan. But we'll see. We'll see, man.
Yeah.
Don't really know much of what else is going on. I know Tyson Fury and Dillian White. Dillian White's trying to sue. It's some weird shit, man. Dillian White is trying to sue the WBC for not making him a mandatory.
Yeah.
But they made him a mandatory. So they told him, well, you can just drop the lawsuit now. But he's not dropping the lawsuit because in the lawsuit, he wanted a certain amount of money. So he wasn't really suing for the mandatory spot. He was suing for the money. And
right.
So now it was like a ridiculous amount. It was like 10 million. Like, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, if you look at the numbers, which I don't really like doing, but you know, yeah, it's that's a ridiculous amount, man. When it's like he's only worth like half that or whatever, you know, and
Yeah, obviously Fury is gonna be the one bringing everybody to watch the fight.
So now what they did was, I guess what Bob Arum did just to be spiteful, or no, not even Bob Arum, the WBC. What Mauricio Suleiman did was order an an 80-20 split. So Tyson, like you said, Tyson Fury's gonna get 80% of the money, and
That's what I was gonna say. That it's usually around that, right? When it's a big name fighter like that, like.
yeah, and you know, like White might be a big name fight out there in the UK. I wouldn't doubt that, you know. But like, if the fight's gonna be out here in the United States, then that's how you have to look at it. You have to look at it from that standpoint. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think he just, and even like Bob Arum said it in an interview, he was like, I think he knows that this is his last hurrah, and he's just trying to cash out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but if that fight doesn't get made, then the WBC said that Fury can fight somebody else and keep his title.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's just a weird situation. But that's what's going on in the heavyweight division. I know AJ and Usyk is set to have a rematch in April.
Yeah, so Fury's pretty much waiting for that, ain't? See what happens.
That and the little arbitration or whatever, like another arbitration Fury has to wait for to see who he can fight. That's gonna drive him insane, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already mentioned about Canelo. Welterweights. I think I already mentioned it in the last episode, but Spence taking on Ugas, so they're gonna unify, and Bud will probably get a little fight in, you know. And that's just bringing us one step closer. I love it. I don't want to see Spence and Bud next. I don't think that's a good idea. Spence is coming out of that. First, the car accident. Then he fought Danny Garcia. Looked good. But then he had the eye injury. Hasn't fought since Danny Garcia. I want to see. I mean, I can't say this is a tune-up. It's actually kind of disrespectful to Ugas. But
no, after seeing the fight, Ugas fight Pacquiao, I think this is a pretty tough fight, probably.
Yeah, Ugas is a good fighter. People like myself think that he should have won against Sean Porter.
Yeah.
So he can give Spence a good, and if Spence isn't his 100% self, which
exactly,
it's hard to believe that he will be. Just like I said, with all the injuries and all the layoff, like I don't doubt for 1 second that Spence is like, you know, a dog and he's gonna try his best, but like, you know, with all those circumstances, man, it's really hard to think that we're gonna see 100% him.
Ugas is a Cuban fighter, right?
Cuban fighter, Cuban background.
That's another thing, man. Those Cubans are fucking tough.
Yeah, and so a good fight for Spence if he can manage to win that fight, and if he can look good, that'll just salivate boxing to make that fight. So, you know, Bud is a free agent now. He can sign with PBC for like a 1-fight deal or a 3-fight deal. Imagine that. Sign a 3-fight deal. All 3 fights against Spence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Unless you beat him twice.
Yeah.
Right? If you beat him twice, then we'll just put you up against somebody else. But yeah, a 3-fight deal, you know, have some classic battles because that's the one.
Yeah.
You know, boxing's has some pretty decent fights over the years, but like that's the one that fans have been wanting to see. We missed out on our opportunity to get AJ Wilder. That would have been the one a few years ago. Just like this fight would have been the one a few years ago, but now it's like perfect time. And as long as Spence could beat Ugas and, you know, Bud can get a fight in, stay busy, even if he doesn't, you know what I mean? But I think he should just to get his rep up, get his name out there. Yeah, man. And then I'm trying to think without looking at my notes what's going on in the 135 division. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But I'm sure it'll pick up. It's only a matter of time.
Oh, yeah. Once we start rolling, it's going to be probably even better than last year.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I guess we could just end it there.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thanks again for tuning in to episode 25. Once again, my name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
This is the OnlyFights Podcast, and we out.
Peace.
Peace.